Here is the part 2 of how to make a wrap dress tutorial. Let's dive in. So here I'm drawing a sketch of what we're actually working with. So this dress has three parts: the bodice, which we're already done with, then the skirt part, which is the half circle skirt, and then the gathers part, which is the third layer of it. So in this video we're going to be dealing with the half circle skirt and the gathers. For the bodice that we're done, we remember we made use of length 17 inches. Now the full length of my dress is 38 inches, so that means for the remaining two parts we're going to be subtracting 17 inches from 38 to get the length of our half circle bodice and our gathers. So here I'm trying to get the waistline that I have on my bodice. Remember, it's a wrap dress, so we're not going to be using our actual waistline. It has extension. So yeah, I'm just trying to measure what I have on my bodice, and after measuring I have a total of 48 inches. So this is the waist I'm going to be cutting out for my half circle skirt. Then I'm going to be adding allowance, of course, so I'm going to be adding 1 inch allowance, so it makes a total of 49 inches. That is the waist we're working with. Now remember, our full length, like I said before, is 38 inches. Our half length, which is the bodice length, is 17 inches. So what we have left is 21 inches to share between the half circle skirt and our gathers. Now I'm going to be making the length of the half circle skirt to be 12 inches, while the length of the gathers will be 9 inches. You can actually split it anyhow you want, because I later changed mine to 13 inches for the half circle and 8 inches for the gathers. Now we figured out the length of all of our 3 layers. So I added 1.5 inch allowance to the length of my half circle skirt. You can actually use 1 inch allowance, it's fine. So I have 14.5 for my half circle skirt. Now the formula for the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, but because we're working with a half circle skirt, we're going to be dividing that by 2. So we're going to be using pi r. Now pi is a constant, which is equal to 3.142. Now our 49, which is our circumference, equals to 3.142 times r, and when you divide both sides by 3.142, our r, which is our radius, is now 15.6 approximately. Now that we've gotten our radius and we know the length of our half circle skirt, we can easily figure out the amount of fabric to fold now, so we don't end up wasting our fabric. So our radius, remember, is 15.6. The length we're using is 14.5. Now in order to know the amount of fabric to fold, we're going to be adding both values together, and when I added it I got about 30.1. so that's just 30 inches approximately. So luckily for me, I'm using crepe fabric, which is by 60. So folding it into 2 just gives me exactly 30 inches. Now I'll be folding my fabric, making sure that I match up both selvage ends, just like this. So that gives me my 30 inches on fold. Now after matching it up like this, I'm going to pick that edge right there and I'm going to be folding it to form a triangle. Now I'll go off camera and arrange my fabric properly so that everything lays well. Just know you fold both selvage ends together and then you fold it again to form a triangle, and this is how you fold your half circle. Now remember the values we are working with. Our radius is 15.6, so from the apex I'm going to be marking 15.6 all the way around. I'm sorry my chalk is not showing on this fabric, but I hope you get what I'm saying. That is why I took my time to explain it properly. From the apex, I'm marking 15.6, which is my radius. Now also from the apex, I'll just be marking my full length straight, which is 30 inches. So making sure your tape is not moving from that apex point, I'm going to be marking my 30 inches all the way around. If you've been enjoying this video so far and if you've gotten any value whatsoever for it, please do not hesitate to like this video. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section. Whether you're a first time viewer or a returning viewer, do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Now let's get back to business. I'm done marking on my fabric and now it's time to cut out. First I'm cutting the radius, the 5.6 that I marked. Then I'll be cutting on the full length as well. After I was done cutting, I made sure I notched the center point of the waistline of my skirt. Now this is what my half circle skirt looks like. Now I'm going to be shaping it because I don't want it looking just straight like this. You can make use of your curved ruler, but my curved ruler wasn't giving me what I want, so I ended up using my free hand to draft the kind of curve I want. Notice I didn't take it all the way to the waistline at that open end there. Just follow what I did in the video. I'm cutting towards the side that is opened, so I just cut randomly. There's actually no measurement for this. I just wanted that shape, so I started cutting from like the midpoint while it is on fold like this. And when I opened it up, this is what it looks like. So it's actually giving what it should give. Now, in order to figure out the width of our gathers, we need to measure what we have around the base of this half circle. Remember, the gathers is going to be I'm going to be joining the gathers to the base of this half circle. So I'm just trying to write it out so it is more understandable. When I measured, I got a total of 102 inches at the base of my half circle. But you know, we're trying to create a gather, so we can't just make use of that value. I decided to multiply mine by 2.5. You can do 2 inches, you can do multiplied by 2 inches depending on the amount of fabric you have. So now I got a total of 255 inches. This simply means our gathers is going to be 9 inches by 255 inches. Now this is the fold for my sleeve. The width depends on how wide you want your sleeve to be. For me, I'm making a puff long sleeve that's going to have elastic band at the wrist, so I want it to be quite excess. Now for the length, my normal long sleeve length is 24 inches, but for this I'm making use of 26.5 inches. Like I said, I want it a bit puffy, and I have on fold about 12 inches. Normally I would fold 9 inches for a regular sleeve, but I added about 3 inches. So I'm just going to be doing the usual. I marked my cap's height and I drew my armhole curve, making sure to have excess at that point. So I had about 3 inches excess at that fold point, which is what I'm going to be using for my gathers. So now I'm just cutting it out. Moving on to the sewing table, remember we already have our half circle skirt on fold, and I notched it at the upper part. I'll be notching it at the hem. I'm going to be folding it over again into 4 now, and I'm going to be notching both at the upper part and the lower part. So these notches will just serve as a guide to me when I am joining my gathers on my half circle skirt. So these are the notches that I'm showing you. So I have 3 notches at the top part and 3 at the bottom part. Here is the fabric I cut out for my gathers. Remember, the length is 8 inches, so I added 1.5 inch allowance, half inch for joining at the top and 1 inch for hemming. So I actually had to join my fabric to complete that length because I didn't have enough fabric. So I joined in about 2 to 3 places just to have that very long length. So now I'm going to try and fold this. It's very long, but I'm going to try and fold it into 2 and into 4 just to make the same notches that I made on my half circle skirt. After making my notches on my gathers, I'm going to be matching up my gathers, the piece I cut for my gathers, with my half circle skirt. So first I matched up the edge, one edge, then I matched up my 3 notches. So the reason why I made these notches and I'm matching them together is so that my pleats are balanced, so I don't have fuller pleats on one part and very scanty ones on the other. So this way I am sure that my gathers are actually like pleated evenly on my half circle skirt. So this is me on my sewing machine table now. So I'm not going to be measuring my pleats or anything. I'm just going to be picking them randomly. I'll be eye marking them and just picking them randomly. Remember, I have my notches as my guide, so I'll use that to like gauge the amount of pleats I'll be making, if you get what I'm saying. So I'm just making the pleats and I'll let you watch. One thing you should ensure is that your pleats are all facing the same direction. Like I said, the pleats doesn't have to be exactly even. I marked it and I pleated it. It doesn't have to be like even, like exactly, but you still have to try and like make them, about the same size. After making my pleats, this is what it looks like. Now go ahead and join my skirt part to my upper part. So I'll make sure I start pinning from the middle. So I'm going to be matching the midpoint, the center back of my bodice to the center back of the skirt, and I'm going to be pinning from the center back all the way to the front, making sure that my side seam on the bodies are open while I'm pinning. So after pinning, you notice that there is a little excess on the waistline of our half circle skirt. That's because we added seam allowance. The excess is actually more than my seam allowance, so I'm going to be trimming it out. But before that, I marked my seam allowance, which is 1 inch, and I'm going to be trimming out the rest of it. Now go ahead and fold this part twice and make sure that it matches up with the edge of my bodice before joining my waist. Now I've gone ahead to join my fabric at the waist. This is the part where I folded twice. I also did the same thing to the other side. Then I also made sure that I hemmed my dress. I folded it twice and I overlocked all of my seam allowance. And I also gave my pleats very good press, and this is what it looks like. It is looking very beautiful already. Now let me tell you, this takes time, so you really have to take your time in pressing and ironing it. Now let's move on to the sleeve. Remember, we already cut out our sleeves, so here is one of my sleeve. The first thing I'm going to do is place it like this. Then I'm going to be stitching on it with my seam allowance, which is 1/2 inch. After doing that, I'm going to be folding the hem twice, and I'm going to be pressing on it because I'm trying to create a channel for my elastic. After I was done with this is what it looks like. I went ahead to overlock the seam allowance as well. Now I pressed on my channel for my elastic, and this is what it looks like. This just makes it easier when I'm stitching on it. So when I'm stitching, I'll be leaving a gap of about 2 inches, which is where I'll pass my elastic band through. So I've stitched on it already and I have that space of about 2 inches. So here is my elastic band. I'm using a 1/2 inch elastic band, and I'm just trying to check it on my wrist to make sure it is not too tight. So I'm going to be using my safety pin to pass my elastic through the channel, still making use of that 2 inches gap that I left earlier. So while you're passing it, make sure you don't lose your elastic. When you're almost about to lose it, just make sure you pin it down, then you continue passing your elastic with your safety pin. After I was able to bring out the other side of my elastic through the channel, I removed my pin and my safety pin, and I'm going to be matching the elastic up together like this and stitching on it. So after stitching on it, I'll be cutting out my excess and I'll just pull on it so that everything is even in this channel. Now remember that we still have that gap of about 2 inches. I'll take this to the sewing machine now, and I'm going to be stitching on my fabric, making sure I don't stitch on my elastic so it can actually stretch properly. So I'll just make sure I stitch on the fabric. After fixing the elastic on the wrist of my sleeve, it's time to fix the sleeve edge around my armhole circumference. Now this is the wrong side of the dress facing me. Now I'm placing the sleeve inside just like this so that the right sides face each other on the inside, and I also make sure that I match up the seam on my sleeve and the side seam allowance on the bodice. I hope you get what I'm saying. Now you see that the sleeve is actually in excess, which is what we want. So from the side seams which I have matched, I'm going to be pinning both pieces together just like this. Now because I want gathers at the sleeve edge there, I'm going to be marking the part where I want my gathers to start, and I want it to be 1.5 inch from my shoulder seam on both sides. So I notched 1.5 seam on the front from the shoulder seam and 1.5 inch on the back from the shoulder seam, just like that. So that is where I'm going to be stopping my pinning and also my stitching. So I'll pin the other side as well. I'll stop pinning when I get to that 1.5 inch notch. So you see, this is the excess that I have to gather around that top part of the sleeve edge. So now we're going to go take this now to our sewing machine, and we're going to be stitching all around the parts that we pinned. Then afterwards, we're going to be making our gathers at this part right here, just the way I'm showing you, and we're going to be stitching on it as well. Now go ahead and overlock this seam so everything looks neat. Now this is what the dress looks like. It looks very beautiful. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel till I come your way next time. Bye.